Okay, hopefully there ain't too much wind noise here. Yeah. How did she hold up? It actually got hail about 1/6 of an inch in size, so how did it hold up? Yeah. The door sort of went soggy on me. Yeah. Stupid design. I always knew this door was a bad design. What I realised was you basically need to have a porch coming out and then have the door inside the porch so it doesn't cop much water. But funnily enough, all this business here, that's a little piece I added on, that was fine. This was dry as. You know, the seal worked quite well. But there's one bit of a mistake with all this. It's bloody mess. It's all wet in there and everything. Now, because of the thickness of the seal, the door was actually hanging out further than it originally was. And I realised that stupid things led to other stupid things. There's a few screws holding in this piece here, which should have meant that I couldn't quite close the door as close as I wanted it. So then I put in a seal to compensate for the fact of these stupid screws. I couldn't get them in properly. The blaster things were on an angle. They wouldn't screw in properly. Then it stripped the middle of the actual screw heads out, and I couldn't do anything then. So the only way was to put a seal in to make up for it. Then to find out that I knew this piece was always overhanging a bit, but then it overhung a bit more. And what really went wrong, I had this bit of guttering here, which is fine, but nothing here. And she comes straight down from this angle here, straight into the top, and just destroyed it. Now, there is a bit of silicone up here and all that, but it's got in somewhere right in this edge as opposed to this edge, and then it's got in and made a hell of a mess. So I've had that door, look at the bloody thing, it's just hopeless. There's a bit of very thin sort of waterproofing stuff on that, different kind of stuff altogether, and then I put some silicone there, but you know, it didn't hold it out. And yeah, basically gonna try and put a garbage bag or something over most of this, quite possibly the whole way down, because I've got a whole 20 pack of garbage bags, just to sort of keep more water damage from getting in, and wrecking the inside walls or any of these corner bits of the walls or anything like that. You know, just to waterproof it temporarily, and when I get back from Troy or sometime around Christmas or whatever, I'll actually put a plywood door or some sort of wooden door on, and then make a proper guttering piece here and up here. And then when I finally get this thing over to my place, I'll probably go ahead and actually, I've got a little bit of timber, and I might actually build an actual real porch that just about, you know, 2 foot long or something like that, or 1.5 feet or something, just to give it a bit more of a chance, and really work on having, you know, guttering around here, you know, a bit more of this edging around there, and, you know, sort of making a real go of not having water come in through the door. You know, but in all of this is what gets me when people sort of, you know, there's a prototype car or this or that. Oh, geez, I'd love to have that prototype because that's the next one we're going to have. In the auto industry, they have some real screw-ups and stupid things happen that unless you know people involved in the research and design, and, you know, I do, they will remain nameless. I know of somebody else who we may eventually talk to who has worked as a drafts person on CAD programs, you know, and they've seen some funny things, and they actually designed an engine with no cams at all in it or some flaming thing. But they will tell you straight up of some of the stories that happen, these ideas they follow for 6 months, spend $500,000, $1 million or more, and then the idea ends up being a failure. So this idea of, I would love to have the prototype of next year or 2 years away vehicle, you know, because then I'd have the one that it's going to be before everybody else gets it. The prototypes in the auto industry have things where they follow ideas that turn out to just be a bloody nightmare and a waste of money. You know, and you've got to go through this crap to design something good and proper. And of course, I'm going through this with a door. You know, I'm finding out a few things, and I actually knew before this even left here, even when I was still building it, that this door was a stupid idea, that it should have had some sort of a porch over it. But then, you know, where was I going to mount the damn framing onto, you know? You know, I sort of realised it was a shonky idea, that it was liable to get water in the edges, and that's why I went ahead and waterproofed that side. But alas, I missed a piece, and, you know, it got me. But this is the whole thing. Is, you know, this is what you've got to learn when you deal with prototypes. Another thing I've found out is these seals, particularly along here, let's just say the old wood's a little bit too old, and she flexes quite a lot, and that was done purely because I didn't really have the money to go and buy anything else, and I had all that stuff, and I thought, well, I'll use that. Well, when you start getting rough with it, I mean, we were bringing it out of this shed here, and what ended up happening was there's a ledge that's up behind the roller door there, and it ended up tilting between the rest of the ground and sitting on the back. And we had wheels that slot into the back there, into those holes there, which was holding it up. And then we couldn't get anything, it was far too high in the air on this end, and we were having trouble getting anything under it. And then it was tilting right in the middle on that edge, and we were getting real savage with crowbars and everything. And, you know, that plus, you know, the crowbars plus the fact it's old timber, it's actually from the 1800s, that timber, you know, that causes little cracks here. But these are things you got to learn, and that was basically caused by cheaping out, you know, that you have these cracks open up. And if it had been a good quality frame that wasn't going to flex, that was steel, that was heavier, or something like that, you know, then that wouldn't have happened. But that was purely something that we had to learn. And, you know, it really come down to the fact that I just didn't have the dough to use any decent blasted material. But when we go inside, you see a little skylight is actually working quite well. We can actually see in here. Usually this camera would be dead as a maggot in my house, and here we are, easily see the heater, the blooming stove, the whole bit. I've still got to put another bit of cement sheet on the side in here. You know, and look, it's all flipping dry. Now, that piece there on the other side, that split on the outer side, this split beforehand, you know, because it's two halves. On the outer side, it actually tore open when we moved it out, but I got silicone on it in time, and I've just ended up putting a bit of tape over there. So, you know, that's a weak point, but, you know, once again, it's probably flexing in some part of the framing because the framing isn't strong enough. But, hell, it's sagging down a bit. I don't know if that's anything. But I think, oh gosh, it might be leaking in here. But, you know, this is the sort of stuff. Oh, yes, it is, damn it. I've missed a bit of silicone there, and now she's a little bit wet there, so I've got to go up and look and see what's going on. But, you know, it's not an easy path with any of these things, and I've obviously missed a little piece. I sort of wondered what this was. That's all dry, even though it's rippled. Then here, yeah, it's going a little bit doughy, so I'll probably put too little an amount of silicone on there. But, yeah, I mean, this is the thing, you know, it's a learning process. The first person to do it is going to hit all the nightmares. Did you know that Rudolph Diesel, when he first designed the diesel engine, he made one running off of coal dust? Now, he had it all worked out, little things that scrape in, metered amounts, you know, it's like half a teaspoon, a quarter of a teaspoon of coal dust every time, and get it to blow in gently, and boom, 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 and this was going to be a workable engine. You know what happened? He went to start it. The first kick he started it, it blew the shit out of the side of the block, and the head just went flying. But in all that, he destroyed his prototype, but he learnt that he was onto something, and then he changed to peanut oil, and then things started to work for real. And, you know, we've got the diesel engine today, and I'm going to talk about the DICE engine, D-I-C-E, direct injection carbon engine, which is basically coal ground to dust mixed with water, put under pressure and heat for 5 minutes, which breaks it into micronized something or other, plus some other stuff for synthetic fuel production. You know, and that's an engine that they are going to use to replace, over the next 10 to 30 years, replace all their coal-fired power stations. Because you can start them up and turn them off like a normal engine, but that's a modified diesel engine that may be harking back to his original prototype that is going to be used to produce power for my estate. Very interesting. You know, but no doubt, you know, the designers of all that have faced grief. Apparently they got one in Japan. They're going to test with our coal and see if it runs all right, and then we're going to go through and build some here. $150 million a piece. Yeah. You know, but this is what happens. The people who designed that engine would have faced grief. Rudolph diesel faced grief. Everyone faces a bit of grief. And prototypes are never as glorious as they may seem when you see them on the news for 5 seconds of them showing it working, because they cut out the other half an hour of the thing not working because they edited that piece out. You know, so just because you see 15 seconds of it going well, doesn't mean they didn't have half an hour of footage of just constant failures. You know, so yeah, it's an interesting road, playing around with the little prototypes, and I don't know if this thing will last or not, and how long it will last, but I have enough left to make another small building, and I may do that, but put it permanently in place, and it won't be multiple sheets that are joined together with seams that are going to leak. This flipping thing here, it will be single sheet, so it'll be rather small. You won't be able to stand up in it, but I've got enough stuff for that. I may or may not do that, but I do have the materials for it, so we'll see. That might be another into 2014 or something, but yeah.